Let's talk about Greenlam now. The company delivered its fourth quarter numbers, and let's see what they've done. What's been the impact of course, COVID? Of course, everyone has felt the hiccups because of the lockdown, and that was coupled with obviously demand souring as well. So volumes for the laminate business grew by roughly about 2%. And it was the veneer revenues that actually took a sharp knock, though mercifully the veneer revenue contributes lesser than the laminate revenue. So let's talk about a bit more of all of this. We have with us today on the show Saurabh Mittal, the MD and CEO of Greenlam Industries. Mr. Mittal, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you and your team at Greenlam are doing well, staying safe amidst this entire pandemic. So obviously, I understand Jan to March may be a bit of a tough quarter, or more importantly, March would be a tough month because of COVID-19. But now, as things have eased, the government as well has obviously allowed reopening of manufacturing facilities, and slowly we unlock as well. How has demand recovery been in May, in June, and what trend are you expecting?
So, thank you for having me over. Post the opening up of factories, both our plants started operating in the last week of April. So one plant was started on 21st of April. The other commenced manufacturing and operation on 26th of April. So things are still difficult on ground. So what we are seeing right now is the export business has by and large come to like a 80% normalcy of what we used to do pre-COVID. The domestic markets are still challenging. And market to market, state to state, I think the situation is a bit different. But if you ask me on an overall scale, the domestic business is at in the band of 40 to 50% types, where we're seeing the tier 2 markets doing better than the urban markets. So this is by and large what we are seeing currently in the business.
Right. Mr. Mittal, I just wanted to understand that when things are opening up and, everybody is coming out for a reset, how do you think your industry will come to a new reset? I mean, April and May, of course, would have been very tough as for all the industries. How do you think the new normal for your industry would be reset?
So I think from a reset perspective, as probably you're aware that, we have a significant unorganized, segment which operates in this industry. So I believe the branded players, the organized players are in far better position to take market share. So I think there will be a shift from unorganized mid-segment companies to the organized segment in the domestic market. In the international business also I see, just few companies really taking more market share from the unorganized players. So I think there will be, so this will be the biggest shift probably which will, encounter, and architects, customers will look at buying brands which are, trusted, which is available, which they can rely on instead of taking chances with the unorganized, and poor quality products. So I think this should be the, this will be the shift, and we're already experiencing that, although the numbers are low, but we're already experiencing that the unorganized and the mid-segment companies haven't been able to restart operations in any meaningful manner, and their supply chains, both inwards and outwards, is severely disrupted. And we are increasingly looking at getting more business from these competitors.
All right. What led to this margin expansion that we are seeing? It's just roughly by 200 basis points. But yeah, what exactly has led to these margins expanding?
So margin expansions were a result of gross margin expansions, were a result of controlled or benign raw material costs, better value mix. And overall margin expansions, would have been higher, because if you see the Q3 numbers, the margins were higher than Q4. But if you compare year on year, it's again pricing discipline, value-add sales, controlled raw material cost, well-managed cost structure. I think all of this led to margin expansions in Q4.
Right. So thank you so much, sir, for taking out time for us. Good to get perspective.